as we are looking at the heart of Jesus, there is something else which we need to focus on as well. We've already seen Jesus' heart is gentle and lowly. But how does this relate to the two other persons of the Holy Trinity? That is the Holy Spirit and God the Father. Here, at this point, we will focus what the Bible teaches about how the heart of Jesus relates to the Spirit, and then we will focus on how the heart of Jesus relates to the Father. All right, first let's focus on the Holy Spirit. What is the role of the Holy Spirit? What does he actually do? These are questions which many Christians may have in their minds. There are many right biblical answers to these questions. For example, Spirit gives us new birth. The Holy Spirit gives us new birth. The Holy Spirit empowers us with gifts. He assures us that we are God's children. Holy Spirit leads us. Holy Spirit makes us fruitful. The Holy Spirit enables us to kill sin. He guides us into truth. The Holy Spirit transforms us into the image of Christ. These are all gloriously true, very, very true. Let's add one more important point to this list. The Spirit causes us to actually feel Jesus' heart for us. The Spirit causes us to actually feel Jesus' heart for us. See, it's like you traveling to the beach, to a very well-known place, a very beautiful scenic place, and enjoying it over there, enjoying the scenery over there. For example, let's take, you may read a lot about the beautiful mountains, up north, the snowy mountains up north, or the snowy mountains elsewhere in the world. You may read about all of those things, but it is a completely different experience to travel to that place and actually enjoy the beauty of the snow-capped mountains. It's a totally different experience is what I'm trying to say. So similarly, if there was no Holy Spirit, then all we would ever be doing is reading about Jesus' heart. The Holy Spirit is the one who moves you from reading about Jesus' heart to actually experiencing his heart in your life. Okay, the idea becomes reality in and through the Holy Spirit. Hearing to seeing to experiencing happens only because of the Holy Spirit. Okay, this is what the Holy Spirit does. Take this for example. It is one thing for the child, to hear his or her parents say that they love him or her. Right? It is one thing. It is at one level. But yes, the child will take the parent at their word. Right? Yes, they truly love me. The child will believe it. But it is another thing to actually experience the love of the parent, the love of the father or the mother. That is a completely different experience. To feel the warmth of the parent is a completely different experience. Right? It's a totally different experience. Now let's consider John chapters 14 to 16. There, Jesus explains the work of the Spirit as continuing his own work. All right. So what is the situation over there? Jesus is leaving. The disciples are sad. Sorrow has filled their hearts. But Jesus says to his disciples that, it is an advantage that he is going away so that the Spirit can dwell within them. He's saying it is better to have the Spirit within them. Just think about what this means. See, Jesus had befriended them. He had embraced them into his heart. So what they thought was, Jesus is leaving, so Jesus' heart also is leaving. That is what the disciples thought. But the Spirit, the Holy Spirit is the answer to how Jesus can leave them bodily while leaving his heart behind, right? Jesus is leaving them bodily. His physical presence is not with them, but he is leaving his heart behind. The Holy Spirit, what does this tell us? The Holy Spirit is the continuation of the heart of Christ for his people after the departure of Jesus to heaven. We already saw in Matthew chapter 11, Jesus says that he is gentle and lowly in heart. That is a beautiful statement. It is a true statement. But the Spirit is the one who takes the words of Jesus and just lights them up inside of us. The Spirit is the one who is turning the recipe on a piece of paper of how to make biryani or something, for example, and turning it into actual biryani and helping us taste it. The Spirit is the one who is turning the recipe into actual taste. So this is exactly why the Apostle Paul says believers are given the Spirit who is from God, that we might understand the things freely given to us by God. He writes this in 1 Corinthians chapter 2. So when Paul says understand the things, right, he uses that word, that we might understand the things freely given by God. By understanding, Paul does not mean an understanding like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. He does not mean it like that at all. It is a deeper understanding. It is an understanding which is felt. It is experience. It is like tasting the actual chocolate in your mouth and letting it melt in your mouth and enjoying that taste. Experienced understanding is what Paul is talking about over here. Paul is saying that the Spirit has been given to us in order that we might know at a very deeper level the endless grace of God's heart. And in this verse, we see the term freely given, the Spirit who is from God, that we might understand the things freely given to us by God, freely given us by God. Right? So, freely given in this text is the verb form of the Greek word for grace. Charis means grace, and this verb form, which is translated as freely given, it's charizomai. All right. So, in other words, we can translate this verse something like this into something like this. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 12. We can translate it into something like this: the Spirit who is from God, that we might understand God's deep grace. So, what does this tell us? What does this show us? The Holy Spirit loves to awaken and calm us with the knowledge of what we have been graced with, what we have been given purely by God's grace, right? So, to state a simple example, we know a lot of postcards, right? Postcards have these beautiful images of these very, very important places, of these beautiful places. So, what the Spirit is doing is, the Spirit is turning our postcard-like knowledge, postcard-like knowledge of Christ, of Jesus' love and affection and heart for us. The Spirit is turning that postcard picture-like knowledge into actual experience. உண்மையாவே அதை அனுபவிக்கிறதுக்கு, அதை அனுபவமாக்குறது தான் ஆவியானவருடைய ரோலா இருக்கு. And the Spirit does this decisively, once and for all. So when we become Christians at new birth, this is what the Spirit does. But it doesn't stop there. He does it 10,000 times over and over and over and over again all throughout our Christian life, so that we truly and fully experience Jesus' heart.